Okay, we welcome everybody here to our commission meeting today. Some of you, this might be your first time to a county commission meeting, but we welcome all of you. We're excited to have you here with us. I'll call the meeting to order, and we have all three commissioners here, Jamie, Harvey, Sylvia Stubbs, and myself, along with our administrator, our cute little attorney, and our clerk. To begin the meeting, we will start with an invocation. We offer the audience a chance to participate. If anybody wants to participate and lead us in an invocation or a moment of silence, then I'll lead the audience in the Pledge of Allegiance. Is there anyone that would like to say the opening prayer? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're extremely grateful for the opportunity to be here and the opportunity to live in this part of the world and the blessings that we do have and the nation we live in and the freedoms we do have. We ask that would guide and direct the leaders, national and local, to protect our freedoms. And please, we also at this time ask to please bless this land with the needed rain and moisture to sustain our lives here. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You'll all please rise. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have you folks here for a special recognition, but it's a little bit later in our agenda. So if you don't mind, we'll take care of a couple of things and then we'll get to that recognition. Conflict of interest disclosures, Mac.
Yeah, this is just a reminder. We had this on our agenda last time. If there is a conflict that you have with any of the agenda items, now is the time that state that you have a business interest in any of these items or any conflicts.
Anybody want to declare anything this morning?
No. Unfortunately, I don't.
Okay. We were worried about you, Jamie. Okay, next is our public comment, Mac.
Okay, public comments are allowed for 3 minutes apiece. This is for any business that you'd like to have or address in the county. Typically, we offer it to anybody that signed up in the audience. I'm not seeing anybody signed up on the sign-up sheet to offer a public comment at this time. Let me go to online. Let me let Daryl in, just in case he has a public comment and he can hear this. So if there is anybody online wishing to make a public comment, all you have to do is there's a raise your hand feature on Zoom that you can go ahead and do so. If you right click on your name, it'll allow you to raise your hand. Or if you unmute yourself, then we'll give you an opportunity at 3 minutes to give your public comment. Not seeing anybody unmute themselves or raise their hand. So commissioners, that is your public comment period.
Next on our agenda is the consent agenda items, and I think we have 5 of them on our list today. Mac, would you go over those quickly?
Absolutely. We've got item number 1 on your consent agenda is approval of $7,725.95 in small purchase orders. We've got Caterpillar parts for the road department and new signage at the landfill. Item number 2 is the approval of appointments of Jonah Garcia and Raquel Schultz to fill vacancies at the LaSalle Recreation Board. Just an FYI, they kind of do their own recruiting out there. It's pretty hard to fill that. LaSalle Rec Board gone through several membership changes here within the last 2 years. So we're excited to have anybody step forward and want to volunteer to fill that board so they can continue operations of that rec center there. Got the number 3 on here is approval of the September 1st through the 15th, 2023 check registers. Got the approval of the September 5th, 2023 Board of Commission work meeting minutes. Then approval of the September 5th, 2023 commissioner meetings, all for you for your consent.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Sylvia,
I'll second the motion.
second by Jamie. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, next on our agenda is item number 6, recognition and presentations. We're going to recognize the road department today. Who would have thought? Who's going to take the lead on this? Do you want me to?
I can. I'll start into it.
Okay.
You know,
At a special event that happened, well, a special
Special.
event happens every day at the road department.
absolutely. No, our road department have been spectacular here, and we wanted to bring you in and just kind of recognize you, extend our hand in thankfulness and gratitude for your efforts. A lot of people don't realize, and public will scream at some of our efforts. We're not quick enough to remove snow, but this last year was pretty remarkable for your guys' efforts. Whenever you beat school buses and power companies out to make these repairs, that's kind of been the situation you guys were throwing in this last winter. As we had record amounts of snow throughout the county, you guys have stepped up your game. You're being called out at all hours, and I know you're pretty flexible in that time. In those efforts behind the scenes takes the mechanics to make sure your equipment's operational and that you can continue to go out and perform that snow removal. Most recently, with that LaSalle Bridge, it's pretty tough to keep that bridge in order, especially when you have Mother Nature playing its forces, as well as probably the Forest Service's efforts that kind of helped wash out that bridge. But you're coming in after hours. You're forsaking your family time to come and help the citizens of the county, helping out the public to make sure that they can get to school, that they can get to the services that they need throughout the county, they can get to work. And behind that is typically you guys that makes that happen. The county and the citizens wouldn't be able to operate in the functions that they need to operate in if it weren't for you. And so we wanted to bring you in and thank you for those efforts. We understand that there's a lot of sacrifices that you have on your family's time. You're coming out to assist these citizens, and they'll get mad because you're not pushing snow one way and you're covering up driveways, and it's kind of this constant thing as we go down and we maintain these roads, and you're not maintaining them good enough, and everybody's an expert all of a sudden on how to crown a road and make sure you get the proper drainage and runoff. But you guys are behind the scenes taking that all in and doing a great job. And so we wanted to at least come in and offer you guys lunch and tell you how thankful we are. Sometimes, there's a monetary reward we can give you raises, but it's really that recognition that I think goes a lot further. And I don't think we do it enough here in the county. And I know that you have a stellar director at your helm that he's certainly appreciative. And in the meetings that I have with him, he appreciates the things that, each one of you do as staff, whether it's, your labor lights on up, it's the office staff that are behind the scenes, making sure everything is operational and functions so you guys can do your jobs. Mechanics that are out there trying to save as much money in your purchases of your equipment throughout this region. It takes all of your hands, and we didn't want to at least not have that how grateful we are for the services that you guys perform, and you take the brunt of it. You're typically the frontline workers that are out there with our citizens kind of taking the heat, but know that behind the scenes we're definitely appreciative of what you guys do.
Well, I'd like to say a couple of things myself. First of all, you make us look good. We want to thank you. We get to sit here and make decisions and try and do what's best for the county, but you people on the front line, you people that are doing the work every day, make us look good, and we appreciate it. We really appreciate it. We wished we could do more for you. I know, I'm going to just guess, that nobody is forcing anybody in this room to live in San Juan County. You're probably living here because you want to. You might be living here because you grew up here and this is where you wanted to stay. I don't know all the reasons that you stay here and work here, but we're grateful for your willingness and attitude to be part of San Juan County. I'm not sure, are they the largest department in the county, the road department, or is the sheriff's department?
Sheriff's is the largest, but these guys are right there.
But I wished I could say to you every day what I feel in my heart. I get up in the morning and the first thing I do, there's two things I do every morning. First thing I do is open the blinds and look at the horse head. The horse head means a lot to me. If any of you were ever in my class in school, you know you had to learn the horse head song. That was a requirement. But the second thing, I look at the weather and I think about what are our employees doing today? What are the county, how are they getting to work? What's the weather like outside? What's the road department going to be faced with this morning? And so it's not that we don't come and thank you enough. It's you're in our minds, you're in our hearts, you're in our prayers every day, because you're the people that are the ones getting it done in San Juan County, and you make these commissioners look pretty darn good. So I don't know. Sylvia and Jamie, do you want to say anything?
I would like to also add to what have been said here. Do you know, when I enlisted for this position, I never understood what it takes. And many times when I go, well, just about every day I go to bed, you go to bed tired and having a long day. All you want to do is just lie down on the pillow. But every night, I pray for each of you. And I'm going to get emotional, but because I'm not a politician, so I can cry. I pray for each of you, for the workers. I pray for their families. I pray for their children.
Should be popped up.
And the thing I pray is that,
Oh, no, never mind. Hold on, I got it.
that God will stretch your opportunities for you and your children. They will give better health, better energy. The whatever little dollar we give to you will be stretched out. They'll be blessed so that you can meet your obligations. And then I pray for each member of San Juan County, so you get double, Juan. You get the prayers for being workers and doing the work. Like Commissioner Adams says, you make us look good. And I know that's not easy. And especially have a neighbor county that has so much money and they offer so much, and we have so little. But I want you to know that everything that we do with the idea of trying to improve our county, trying to improve the income we have. We are a business, and the only way we can collect money is through different kinds of taxes. And so we are looking at different things to be able to continue to offer the benefits that you're having right now, and maybe in the future have more. We also think about the future of the children in San Juan County, all San Juan County. And so we're looking at building for the future. We're looking at having our children being trained so that they can stay here, and we had a job available for them to, if they choose to stay in San Juan County, that they have opportunity. So every time I pass you guys on the road and I see you, I get excited. And my husband said, "There's your boys." I said, "Yeah, they're working hard." So thank you so much. And I want you to tell your family thank you also, because there's lots of sacrifice, and thank you.
Jamie?
Let's see. I can start out by saying good morning, hello, hola, buenos dias, and yate shika. I'd like to think I'm trilingual with the help of Commissioner Stubbs, so maybe I'll get to that point. So 2 questions real quick, and anyone can answer this. You guys have staff meetings 6 in the morning? Is that true? Staff meeting? 7? Okay. All right. I'm making sure I got the right time. Second question is, do you guys get donuts at your meetings? Sometimes. Okay.
So
All right, because we don't want to surprise you one of these days, and you guys are disappointed. Donuts? What? But I just like to express the same sentiment that the commissioners are telling you. Last night I met some of you, and I stated that you are heroes because you're out there working late at night and even early in the morning before sunrise. So you're brave souls. But muchas gracias, and thank you very much for all you do. You're valuable. You're valuable to the citizens of the county, and your work is valuable. So just wanted to express that to you. We're here as the commissioners to try and support you, and in return, we hope you guys are feeling the safety that we bring together to you. And as we work together, we'd love to see you guys work together too. So thank you. Muchas gracias. That's all I'll say.
I still
Thanks.
practicing how to say, I know what he's saying, thank you in Navajo, and I can understand, but with the help of my husband, I'm trying to learn how to say thank you in Navajo. Trying to practice it.
Todd, do you want to say anything? I mean, we're here. We know that over the weekend we had an event down in Pat Creek where the road was washed out. People were called out. They were on the weekend on their time off, but it was emergency. And you guys have always been willing to respond to emergencies. Anything you or Tammy would like to say? Tammy's our emergency manager. I
can.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a.
Yeah.
We're timing it.
So, Mac knows, the commissioners know. We've had a lot of, between flooding and snow, we have had a ton of incidents. And in all the incidents that we've had with emergencies that people needed to come, we didn't have people call in sick and take the day off. They rearranged their schedules, sacrificed, like Commissioner Adams said, family time. But we were, a lot of these, we are so short with the emergencies that we had and the major snow that if we had people that didn't come to work because the roads were too bad to get there, what people don't realize is the roads that everybody else has to drive in after we're done pushing them were not like that when we came to work. And so when people call and they're like, the road's bad, I can't get out of my house, I live in the county, so I know what it's like when you're jumping snowdrifts to get to a piece of equipment to go open it for other people. But we never had anybody in this crew that would call in and say, I can't get to work. If it was so bad that they couldn't get out, we other employees went out with the equipment to dig them out. so we could get the roads open. And so these guys, Commissioner Stubbs gets me emotional, but I mean, they were,
You're not politician.
these, I'm a horrible politician. These guys, they're more dedicated than most of the county citizens know. So as in their department, it's a joy and a privilege to work with these guys. So appreciate it.
Thanks. Tammy, you got anything?
I'll be quick. We've been to Pat Creek a lot. And all I can say is I can call TJ and say, we're having floods in Pat Creek again. I don't have any question or doubt that the roads will be taken care of. They'll be back up and running within an hour, 2 hours a day. So thank you. You make it a lot easier to do the things we do. It's very much appreciated.
Thanks, Tammy. Okay, we got lunch. We're a little early.
Yeah, lunch is on its way. I think she's making arrangements to have lunch down at the road department facilities, and so anticipate lunch arriving around noon. Then we'll feed you all again. We can't say enough thank you, and hopefully you enjoy the food. We tried to get it catered to what gentlemen and women folk like yourselves would like to eat, and so lots of meat. And I think Sylvia even pitched in some cookies last night. I appreciate those that attended that potluck dinner as well. But once again, thank you.
Yeah, that was nice yesterday to get to meet some of the families, and it was really nice. And we're gonna take turn every other year in Monticello, every other year in Blanding, and sometimes it's hard to work everybody's schedule. I know, like the library doesn't close till 7 and things like that, but it was nice to have the ones we had there. And just seeing now when I pray for the children, I can see some of the faces, because I got to meet them yesterday, and it's just so nice. And so thank you. And you guys are welcome to see what happened in our commission meeting. You can stay here, and it's nice to have audience. So, especially one friendly audience. They're not here to complain. So, thank you.
Well, like Max says, we've made arrangements to have a catered lunch for all of you down at your workplace, and those people will be arriving here pretty soon. And so if you want to stay and see what we're doing, you're welcome to, or you're welcome to go down and get set up ready for lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Kelly.
I'm gonna look for the picture, and I'm gonna call Miss San Juan and tell her I saw you. That's it. Thank you, sir.
I blew it there then. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, were you there? Good.
Hey, thanks. Sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help. Thank you for coming last
Thank
time.
you.
That was
Well, it's from the heart, at least.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Good, you.
Man, I like that mustache.
Thank you again.
I know.
Thank you.
Didn't catch
Thank
up
you.
with the mustache. Why are you shaving that off? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Man, that was nice.
Yeah,
We need to bring all the departments one by one.
yeah. Okay, we'll proceed on with our business action portion of our meeting, number 7. Mac, this is Nick's item, oil and gas leasing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Nick.
I think Mac.
One of these days, we're going to recognize your department.
No recognition.
you have item 7 and number 8. So this first one, consideration and approval of the March and December 2018 oil and gas lease sale as a consulting party.
So, kind of some background on here. In March and December of 2018, way back then, BLM had made a decision to issue oil and gas leases for both of those sales, March and December. But that decision was appealed by various litigants, and it was to include actually 32 parcels, but in the interim till today, I think 3 of them either expired or dropped out for whatever reason, so there's 29. So, excuse me, those 29 parcels were total 49,900 and some odd acres. And these are in areas southeast of Landing and north of Monticello. And I think you have some maps that show where those leased parcels are located. So to resolve these appeals, a settlement agreement was reached in which BLM agreed to conduct a new Section 106 review, Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, and to make additional analysis of the proposed lease sales in the environmental assessment. So both of these processes have now been completed, and they are open for a 30-day comment period, which ends September 29th. Now, on the Section 106 process, in the new 106 process or review, BLM has concluded that reasonably foreseeable development can occur on all the proposed lease parcels with no adverse effect to historic properties within the leases or within a half-mile buffer zone around each lease, and that's called the area of potential effect. Now, this reasonably foreseeable development, by the formula they're using, means that in those 49,000 some odd acres, over the next 10-year period, there could be 11 wells drilled. And each well pad would be roughly 9.6 acres of that 49,000 and some odd. So in that 10-year period, there could be 11 new wells drilled. Now, that doesn't mean there would be a well drilled on any particular lease, but through that conglomerate of that acreage, there could be that many drilled. And as you probably know, leasing does not authorize on-the-ground disturbance. That on-the-ground disturbance would be covered through an application for permit to drill, where a specific environmental analysis would be made on the site and determine what impacts may occur at that time. So this is just for leasing, but leasing does inherently give a right to develop if that lessee chooses to do so within the 10-year period of the lease. So BLM made this decision that there would be no effect, no adverse effect to historic resources. And San Juan County was a consulting party in this 106 process back in 2017, 2018, and we were invited to continue that status in this new review process. So we decided to do that, and we are a consulting party as of this date. So as a consulting party, San Juan County concurs with that finding of no adverse effect to historic properties. And that's the letter, I think, in item 7, that's before you for consideration. Basically, just says that the county concurs with that finding.
We're looking at it right now. So that's what you're asking the commission to approve
Yes,
today.
the
Is this
commission would
this letter?
decide whether
Okay.
you concur with that and whether to sign this letter of comment or concurrence.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to read the letter? Somebody want to make a motion to allow me to sign the letter and send it back to the BLM?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, have a motion by Sylvia,
I'll second the motion.
second by Jamie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, so we'll go ahead and send the letter, Nick.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have the revised schedule, but you say number 8 is the next letter.
Yeah, and this is the agenda item that you have that's coming from, it's the environmental assessment portion of it.
Okay, so we just covered the section 106 process, which is a part of the NEPA process for all these actions. So the revised environmental assessment, according to this settlement agreement, the environmental assessment was revised, additional analysis. And so the letter before you states general comments and basically voices support for leasing of the parcels with the appropriate stipulations to avoid or mitigate potential environmental impacts. And this concurrence would be consistent with our county resource management plan as well as the county energy zone, which was established by House Bill 393 in 2015, I believe. And that's basically the eastern half of the, not half, eastern portion of the county from more or less north to south, where there's a high potential for mineral development, including oil and gas. And in that energy zone, the reason the legislature established those was to let the federal agencies know that these areas are important to the counties for energy development and to expedite processing of any applications and the extraction, if it comes to that, of mineral resources for the benefit of the county. So the letter before you basically states that.
Covers some of the same areas we just talked about.
This is exactly
Yeah.
the same 29 leases. Yes.
Right.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, do we have a motion to approve signing this letter?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a motion by Sylvia,
I'll second.
second by Jamie. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. So you can send that letter too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your work. Thank you.
Okay, number 9, is that you or Sam?
Should be Sam, but I'll take it.
Okay,
So I'm not seeing him here. So I've got consideration and approval of a proposal and contract for Red Mechanical Incorporated for replacement of the rooftop HVAC unit serving the central section of the county administration building. We've worked with multiple contractors to receive bids to replace that system. This is just over kind of the building inspector planning area. It's also, it'll cover Crystal's new office, or not new, but
remodel.
freshly painted office. And then also on the flip side of it, the future home of economic development and the visitor services up here on this half. We've been waiting to get the surveyors out of the basement, but before we can do that, we've got to have this HVAC system fixed so that we have proper heating and air in that section of the building. It had gone out, wasn't really ever plumbed correctly, and so the new companies come through and looked at what they need to do for ducting to get that system up and operational. So in the past, it's only provided heat, but it had the ability to also provide cooling. It was just never plumbed right to do that. So we've kind of held off. In the meantime, our building inspector and planning department down there have been living off of this little window unit that pulls in the air and refreshes it and cools it down a little. But to properly have everybody in that space, we needed to fix that. And so we've gone out for the bids. We had allocated funding last year for this project, and now it's just finally coming to fruition. This was one of those mid-year adjustments that we had made so that we can roll over last year's funds, bringing it forward. And it's ARPA funds, where ARPA can go to healthy, sustainable environments in public facilities, and HVAC is one of them this covers. And so you're looking at $34,319.90 that will go to Red Mechanical Incorporated under this contract.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion to approve the contract with Red Mechanical. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Jamie. Further discussion?
I just want to make a comment. I like when we can get local business, local county business to do the work, and so I think this is a good thing in more than one way.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, next is Tammy.
Okay, we've got the consideration and approval of the 2023 Emergency Management Performance Grant with the State of Utah Public Safety Division of Emergency Management for $36,400.
Max said it all.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We just need
This is
to
just
renew
a
the grant.
continuation of the grant that pays the state portion of what I do for emergency management.
Okay,
And it just needs approval with a signature.
do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
I
Thank
just
you.
want to say thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And thank you for approving this. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You guys have a good day.
Tammy's done a great job as well with the emergency management. As anytime these rain clouds come over us, she's monitoring her phone and all the weather stations. She'll send out, to the public, hey, we're expecting this severe thunderstorm or whatever, and she's right on it. Once that bridge went out, we were looking at our monitors, and it was interesting rainstorm that come through and hit that. It must have been up on top of the LaSalle's, because as our staff went down and checked out that bridge, the ground was dry. But up on top, that had come through our monitoring stations. They didn't pick it up. That it was a massive water flow that went through there. It was just one of those circumstances that come through. But Tammy was right on it. Called me, called TJ. I sent the text to you guys notifying you. And so behind the scenes, there's Tammy always that's kind of taking care of the people there.
And as we gone from the county during the winter time, and roads were getting closed and different things, it was so I was appreciative to know the updates and things were going on, because sometimes we are not aware about the work everybody does in the county. Just like, on the other hand, people are not aware about the things that we have in our plate. And I think sometimes it's nice just to have those moments where we can come together and kind of share, we learn from each other what we're doing. And I think it bring up peace, because sometimes I always the grass looks greener on the other side of the fence. We always think, if I had that job, if I did this or that, not realizing that maybe that green grass is weed, it's not green grass. Anyway, so thank you so much for all you do, and whoever else your helpers are, just say thanks.
Okay, number 11.
Okay,
This
next
is yours,
one's
Max.
Similar into Tammy's realm as well. This is consideration and approval of the Pat Creek Fire Hazard Mitigation Program Grant Contract, Amendment Number 1 for $6,493.75 with Jones and DeMille Engineering. This was a contract that was awarded on the design aspect of it as we look to install and construct those 2 debris basins. Originally, we had looked at it as just kind of one system, but now where we have the 2, where it'll catch debris in one and overflow, catch debris in the second one, and then let the water go down, hopefully without any debris in there. Because we've kind of doubled 2 systems, the geotechnical was only anticipated on one system, so they had to go through and bore more holes in the soil there so that they can check percolation, things like that with that system. So because we're asking for two now, they've increased the cost on geotechnical for that 6,493. And so what you have before you is just that amendment in there. The total, what that pushes is your total now up to $96,163.75. This has all been covered under the grant that Tammy had received for the project on the design. There is also an in-kind requirement that's required of this grant, which, our road department, awesome. They're really not a public works department, but they went down this last week and kind of opened the site so that the geotech could get their drills down into the system without getting stuck, that they had a clear path to get down into there. And so things like that we can offset, but one of these paying other vendors to do some of this work is something that we can't offset in. And so the original contract was $89,670, and so you see that increase of $6,000 in there.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion to approve the amendment number 1 to the grant, Impact Creek. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I was going to ask a question. Is this project, it just benefit this community?
Go ahead.
So the debris basin does not benefit Pat Creek. It actually benefits Spanish Valley.
Okay.
So the debris basin is north of Pat Creek.
Okay.
It's going to be put on the road that you can
It
take
kinda
right
goes
off
up,
the highway.
yeah. Mhm.
And it will benefit the residents of Spanish Valley because it will catch the debris and the floodwaters that go through that
Okay.
community after they pass.
This is more of a preparation for making sure that the flow of the water as construction comes and things like that.
Yeah. We've found that since the fire, even there's a big culvert, I don't know, 5-foot culvert, would you say, in the cutoff road? It cannot handle the floodwaters, so the waters go up and they take out that road, they take out the road below it. Then it goes down through the community and the washes and it takes out Sunny Acres Lane. So it damages 3 roads on the San Juan County side. So this will help alleviate that, but then it starts to damage roads in Grand as well.
Because what happened after the fire, we have all the wood, all those trees up there that has not been cleaned up or anything, and so they'll be continue to come year after year after year. So
Yeah.
this is
That's
Yeah.
what took out the culvert this last week. The culvert would have handled the floodwaters, but there were some trees that came down with the rain, and the trees are what took out the culvert this last flood. So we're still seeing debris.
yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll kind of continue, like you'd mentioned, to see debris come through there as the trees were killed off, but they're still standing. The trees that took out our culvert, interesting enough, were tied together. They had a netting, the Forest Service had a netting system to try to help catch debris. It tied these trees together with that netting, and the netting filled up with debris. It pulled those trees into it, and so all 3 of those trees were in one bundle that were all tied together that pushed that culvert out. But there's a couple of things at play here as this is meant to catch the debris in there, but it also slows down the energy of the water. And so to have 2 of them, it hits the first one, catches the debris, slows energy, it'll flow into the next one, catch debris, slow the energy. So then hopefully further on down that creek, we can slow that energy enough that it doesn't continue to wipe out these roads. Now there's another one that's supposed to come, kind of a retention system that we're all working at to make come to fruition. In partner, one of them we're looking at with Grand County that they've applied for funding through the same HMPG system. If they can get it funded, then they will install it up just beyond these debris basins. So that can catch the water. Also, the whole system in itself kind of works to recharge and replenish the aquifer down
Yeah.
below.
Yeah.
And so there's multiple steps, multiple funding sources, and different type of dam systems that we're looking to install there to catch the water, slow it down, recharge aquifer, and kind of save that development that continues right next to Pat Creek. And literally, that Pat Creek sets on a sedimentary soil where it's a sand and gravel, so it easily washes out and then erodes, and that channel has changed throughout time. And so we're hoping these systems will work enough to slow. We've been in partnership with Grand County and Sitla. This is all on Sitla's land, and so Sitla's been in our meetings with us as we go and work through the design. And then we brought Grand County in. You know, if they can get HMPG funds quicker to install the bigger system, then we're looking at that. We've already been awarded what is it, the PIFR? The PIFR, which is a federal funded grant system, but that takes 5 years to even get to the implementation stage. The HMPG grant comes a lot quicker, within a year. So Grand County is making an application for those funds to see if they can get it in a year, because it benefits them, because the biggest Pat Creek flood came through and wiped out their road as well down below. And so it kind of helps them. We're in a concerted effort to help mitigate some of the flooding there.
The part of the mountain where the trees burn, is that
Forest Service.
Forest Service?
And BLM.
Would they ever cut those tree downs?
Mm,
Seems like it would be nice to have the reserve of somebody come and cut those and take them down south. Because down south, you know, there's no wood. I mean, people have to go get them, but if they have an area where the wood can be put in, people come and take wood.
the firewood.
It'd be a good way to use that and prevent from those trees keep coming, you know, year after year
Yeah.
for years. Anyway, but
Okay, let me
Thank
make
you.
sure we have a positive vote on this item by everybody. I think everybody said yes. Okay, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We'll go now to number 12.
Okay, number 12 is consideration and approval of the Pat Creek, consideration and ratification of the Social Service Block Grant Amendment number 1 with the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services. Typically on here, we receive $58,127 a year. It's kind of a federal system, a federal award that comes through and is passed through from the state that helps social services. We've used these funds mainly for our adult systems, but in here, if you look at kind of the staff report, some of the qualifying uses of this fund are child care for children or adults, protective services for children or adults, special services to person with disabilities, adoption, counseling, case management, family housing, family planning, health-related transportation, foster care for children or adults, substance abuse, legal housing, home-delivered meal, congregate meals, independent transitional living, special services for youth, employment services, or any other social services needed by the county. This also does have a reporting requirement, which is why we're continuing these funds over and into the amendment number 1 so it's a 2-year total of $116,254 that's placed in general fund that helps support Tammy. So the aging and adult, as well as our substance abuse and mental health. It goes towards matching requirements, but we do have a matching requirement on here of $14,532 that is a general fund obligation as well. We'd like to continue with this grant. It's just a matter of on our side of it doing the legwork so they know the expenditures for the reimbursables.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Any other comments or questions?
I just a question about what. So who managed the grant? How are the funds distributed budget? And who does the distribution for the different groups?
In the past, it's just gone. We've worked with Tammy, and so Tammy Gallegos with the senior centers, congregate meals,
Okay,
things
okay.
like that kind of help pay for this. And it's
Okay.
on our side. It goes to the clerk auditor's office. Clerk auditor is the one that goes out and reaches to them to pull the receipts and everything.
Yeah, I was
from
just
those
wondering
systems.
because it has so many different ways it can go. So
Yep.
I just wonder if we have a regular organization that's benefited from.
Yes,
more.
absolutely. We can spend this in different
Ways,
multiple avenues, and so part of it on here when you look at transitional housing, well, we've got that homeless aspect of it. So, if we have an individual that's transient, that's homeless, we'll pay for their bus tickets, things like that. That this fund
With
can
the fund,
actually
yeah.
go towards. And so we focus mostly on this with our adult systems of care
Mhm.
throughout the county, which gets into the mental health side of it and the senior living.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
I
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 13, are you going to take that one, or is,
I'll take this one. So
Okay.
we've got consideration and approval of notice of award and intent to negotiate a contract with Tyhurst Construction for the construction and installation of RV stalls at the county fairgrounds. So in here we had put this out to bid, not really knowing how much the costs would be for that. We had Jones and DeMille, who, Elaine was able to get a grant from the state of Utah to help us with part of this, and part of those funds were spent on design so that we can go out to bid to get the final costs. We would use $244,863,000 in ARPA funds to that can be directed towards infrastructure costs. And we kind of see this as an infrastructure project where we got to get water, sewer, sanitation out to the RV stalls, as well as power, and parking lot lighting is a part of this in addition to the RV stalls. When you look at ARPA and just our fairgrounds, we've kind of targeted that area. Also, if there were ever a natural disaster, we would have animal services, or we would be able, not only are you looking to house people, but we also need to house animals. And so this is kind of one of those opportunities where if individuals have there, and if you're in the horse business nowadays, you've got to have money to have horses. And so with that, they can stay on site, still take care of their animals. You heard some of the discussion from Kara today. As these rodeo contestants come, they're in their RVs and they need a place to park. Well, in the past, they've just been parking everywhere down at the fair, and you've probably seen all their trailers down there. And so this will kind of help give them a spot so they're not dumping sewer or raw sewage out on the county land. That they actually have a system there that they can connect to and take care of their animals while they're there. This isn't something, just to note, because I think it's important that this isn't something that we want to be in competition with our public that have RV stalls throughout the Monticello here or Blanding. It's not to compete with them. This is literally just for those times that individuals are using the fairground or the fairground facilities that'll be operated. It's not something that we're going to be offering for rent on off times. It's literally just for those events down there.
so what is there, about 22 stalls?
There is, and you can kind of see I put the design in here. One of the caveats as we've gone through this design is eliminating some of the stalls. Let me get you a good picture in the design here. Let her in as we zoom out a little. We've made it so that we've got a total of 22 designed. We'll chop off this back side. These are, if you've been down there to the activities, these are the mud pits that are down there. It's for mud volleyball. We have the, just beyond this, you can kind of see that. That's where they had the, what is it, the monster mud bog Yeah, so they'd bring monster mud bog down there. We wanted to continue with those operations, but allow for more stalls. During the discussions with Trihurst, these just add extra expense to it, and so we've eliminated some of these and tried to skinny up how many RV pads that we have, but yet lay the infrastructure for future expansion in the system. So there'll be extra conduit and with extra cables run through it so that we can add on, extend it out in the future. So we'll try to take the money as far as we can. When you look at the original cost, they came in and we were blown away with the cost, but the electrician and electrical costs nowadays are so expensive that it's pretty hard to skinny it up, and the only way that we could reduce
the wires
it,
are very expensive.
yep, and the only way we can reduce those costs is to cut out some of our stalls. We'll have the road department do a lot of the road work and trenching for this as well, so that we can try to mitigate some of those costs as much as we can. In here, you see the parking lot lights that'll be installed when you go down there at night and you're exiting the rodeo. All of the lights pretty much shine over here on the arena side of it, and so you're working on kind of this ambient light in the parking lot. And so we felt that adding parking lot lights to that system will actually be a lot safer for the individuals coming and going. But also we're having them in the light poles provide power outlets. So if there's any vendors that need to plug into here, so on the night of mud volleyball, you'll see vendors that come and sell their food close to the volleyball pits. Well, now kind of gives them a place that they can plug into to charge their systems to offer food. And so at that time is I think when you would ramp up your rental to try to cover costs for utilities, but yet allow them to offer more services during those. Just kind of opens it up a little bit further. And then this kind of goes to on our grant system. One of the things is we applied for the federal grant and we were looking at the indoor arena. One of the comments that we received back from them is like, well, what are you guys doing down there? You know, what type of investment are you making into everything down there? Are you just expecting the federal government to do it all? Well, hopefully this can kind of demonstrate that there is an investment from the county with funds that we have available into the system. So when we apply, we can show, well, we've spent X amount of money trying to elevate this and make it more of an event center to offer more services throughout the year. And we kind of touched on that earlier this morning.
I think that this goes with, like you said, what Kara was telling us, talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
The more things we have, the more people will be using the facility, the more that we need to start building up the organization that's going to manage
the system,
that area, because in order to have something nice, we have to figure a way to take care of it too. Because it's kind of sad because of lack of somebody being there. And I think that if we can figure out different things that can be used in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an ice skating rink, an outdoor one that will attract people, because you have the cold and it's not going to melt the ice. You can't do that in Bali, but you can start thinking of things. And I know Elaine has lots of ideas, but I think we start the maintenance, because when you have something like that, it's the word's going to get around. You know, when we travel with your horses, you can stay in Monticello, doesn't cost you anything, and then people, if they will be responsible enough to take their trash or whatever, but they will be leaving things behind, and so quickly it's gonna. So we need to figure out a way in the plan as we start adding things, that we start figuring out ways to generate funds to take care of it, and to maybe. So I think it's nice that it's nice to have this to worry about it. Instead of just thinking we don't.
And we'll apply for additional grants. We want to expand like the floor that we're cutting out in the back and some additional spaces.
Yeah.
Because as Matt indicated, that's what we were told, but we haven't invested anything, but you can see now we're investing.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to invest to bring that
Yeah,
property.
and I think if the people that travel with animals, you have a drop box where people just put something in to start with. They'll probably be grateful to have that along the way, a place where they can do that. And maybe if it looks nice, they'll take better care if it look like nobody is taking care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it provides a safer, cleaner, area when they come in for the fair. So I think I'm excited about it. And, as Max said, we're not trying to compete with the commercial, properties that are out there for RVs, but this will provide.
This has the animals,
Nice space for the people
yeah.
that will be participating in the fair.
And it has people that have animals which the other parks don't have, so it's not
Correct.
like we're
Yep.
Exactly.
competing with that.
Yep, that's exactly. So this one here is just the notice of award and intent to negotiate the contract with Tri-Hearst. They've gone through and skinny up their bid. Originally, they came in at $353,348. We were able, through just negotiations with them, to drop that down to $244,863,000. So quite a bit of a reduction, almost $100,000 off of what their original bid is. Just working with them, eliminating some of the stalls, but also with the road department's assistance.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sylvia,
I'll second.
second by Jamie. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 14,
Okay, we got consideration and approval of local health department Women, Infant, and Children Program Amendment Number 7 with the State of Utah Department of Health and Human Services for an increase of $144,494.
Good afternoon. Good to see you all. So, as was stated, this is a renewal or an amendment of our contract for our Women and Infants and Children's program with program. And I actually have good news here. Years past, this has been very challenging. I put a note here that WIC funding is in part tied to enrollment. And so during the pandemic, we had some decreases. Some a little bit before that too, but that 2-year delay, and so the way it's calculated is enrollment 2 years ago determines funding now. And so that was a major concern, and I had actually asked that we use 10,000 of our local funds for public health to be dedicated to WIC so that we could actually increase enrollment so that funding could be increased in 2 years. And so we've been really appreciative of that funding that we've had locally, but here there's actually been some negotiation about what's called the funding formula, how this WIC funding is calculated for our county. And with the other local health department directors and the state WIC program, they've actually added in one factor, and that's children under poverty, the rate for the county. And so that's been calculated across the state. And because of this, some counties have had a reduction. But we, as you know about our county, we do have a substantial need in that way. We've actually had this increase. So in any of your communications with other counties, if you know of them possibly having a reduction, if you could express their gratitude, there's been some sacrifices in that way so that we could have this increase here. And so just noting that, you can see the about $21,000 increase from last year. I just wanted to really point that out, and it adds to what we're trying to do, as we talked about previously, reopening WIC in Monticello. We're currently in discussions for other sites, reopening potentially in Monument Valley. That would be in large part because of UNHS being very open to us using their facilities when we're out there. There's potential for LaSalle as well. So anyways, that's in progress right now. We're working on that. And there's a portion of this that's for peer counseling that you can see at the bottom as well, which is some peer support for breastfeeding. Something that There's all these other efforts to distract and say, oh, don't breastfeed. We're trying to say, hey, we can support you in that if that's your choice. So yeah, any questions?
Do we have a motion to approve the amendment number 7 to the WIC program?
I'm gonna motion, and then I was gonna make a thoughtful suggestion by saying they should add fathers, women, and infant and
Right.
children. But when breastfeeding came up, that's not gonna work. So.
Thank you for the opportunity for me to put a plug in. Actually, fathers play an important role in supporting breastfeeding. As many might know, late night feedings, all sorts of things. How can a father actually be supportive of that? It's hard. It's hard. I can just, can't speak from personal experience as a mother, but as a father, it's hard on the mom to do this. And so to have that buy-in and support. We actually have a little pamphlet for fathers to help them understand their role. So thanks for mentioning it, Commissioner Harvey. And yes, I would agree with the wording. We do try to be very pro-family and recognize the important role that fathers play. Sometimes there are families that don't have a father, and we recognize that as well, and how we can all team up together to support families all together. So thanks for all of that.
Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, do we have any more discussion?
I just want to, this is one program that I always supported. It's a good federal program. It's a program that you get return.
Yeah.
It's just like the Pell Grant. I think the Pell Grant and WIC are programs that you get return. I had some children, in the past I talk about how they used to come, before WIC, they used to come with Kool-Aid in the bottles and different things, and affected
The teeth,
the teeth and
nutrition.
everything, and nutrition. And in the mothers, now, so WIC is a good thing. And I think the way the economy is now, it's so important to have that extra milk and the cheese and things like that. And so, in the juices. And so I think it's a good thing that you're extending the opportunity to other people that probably won't venture to the office, but maybe seeing your mobile unit here that will come and sign up. And so, thank you.
Yeah, and we're some other efforts. Quick plug: Aneth stores just got their WIC redemption process working
good.
this last week.
That's
So anyone listening from Aneth, please go check out WIC there, so you can redeem your WIC benefits there.
That's good.
And also the state went over to Cortez. We're trying to work it out so that people who are shopping over there can actually redeem Utah WIC in Cortez. So we're working on that. One's still in process. So, but anyways, just saying, we're trying to make this really useful for families. And then you're right. This is a short-term thing where, hey, as little kids, we can help them have that foundation, and then hopefully help the families get on their feet for the future.
This one's and I appreciate Grant's efforts to kind of extend out the WIC services outside of Blanding. When you look at the statistics here in the county, we're one of the highest counties that has the most food insecurity. So that means a child is waking up and they don't know where their next meal is. They don't know where it's going to come. And a lot of times we rely on the school system to provide that, but there's still this huge amount of food insecurity
Before school,
here.
you're right.
When you
Before
look
school.
at even food stamps, and they've changed and migrated to a Horizon card where, it's more of a credit card system instead of an actual booklet that you have to carry around
Those
and check
checks.
things off. And so the federal government had made these systems a lot easier. However, we are underutilizing all of those. And it's unfortunate on like even the WIC funding that it's 2 years prior, because you take today that even after COVID and probably before, we've still been, in these struggles to try to get people to even participate. And so as we continue to try to champion these programs, it's one of them. A lot of times people, they think that, well, this money is set aside, and if I take it, I'm taking from somebody else, and I don't want to do that. Well, in essence, it's opposite of that. The federal government gives these funds and sets them in a bucket. We're just not taking out. And so we're not taking services by
And then you
It's
lose
available.
it
participating in
for
this.
future kind of thing.
Yes. And so the money is there. Nobody's taking it. Nobody's taking away from anyone else. And so I think the biggest efforts on their side of it is that education component, which is we're here to help, and these programs are here to help you. It's not, there is a social stigma sometimes with this, but that, especially today, any type of assistance that you can get to help stretch that food
With
budget a
the
little
cost
further,
of food, especially in our
Yes.
area,
Yep.
it's just kind of a.
just kind of helps.
Yep.
And so,
And we aim for that holistic approach, really looking at, is it screen? We talked before about screen time, helping parents learn those parenting skills, because there's a lot of emotions involved in parenting, of course.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
how do you work through all that stress and find healthier ways to manage
when
it?
you are worried about what you're gonna eat tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you?
How can you? When I used to teach early childhood classes, I would tell that story to try to illustrate the pyramid of needs.
Right.
I said, a mother in the bottom went and bought a gallon of milk. The child spilled. The mother is in
Yeah.
distress.
Right.
If you're a little bit higher in the pyramid, don't worry. The mom is sweet and things like that, 'cause she's not worried about what the food's gonna come.
Exactly.
And so we are in those because of the way the economy is. Our people are stressing out, about where the food's gonna
Right.
come. And so thank you.
Great. Thanks for the support.
I've lost track, but I don't think we actually took a vote on this. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. And I had asked Grant several months ago to look into WIC in Monticello because we didn't have that service. So I personally really appreciate you doing this, Grant. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thanks for the support and the
Number 15, Grant, I think that's yours also.
Right. And so a little bit overlap here, actually. The Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention and Surveillance Grant here, you can see about it's $5,872. This is actually something we do partner within our health department, health promotion, providing some of this funds to our WIC staff so that during visits there's a chance to educate parents about possible lead exposure. And so we have actually a cute little book about it that kids can read with their parents. And that's just one example of how we use this funding. And it's something how we help stretch our WIC funds too. So if some of that education happens during a WIC visit, we actually charge it to this grant, and it helps stretch the WIC funds even further. Any questions?
So do we have a motion to approve the Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Surveillance Grant?
Motion?
Okay, a motion by Jamie,
Second.
second by Sylvia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 16 is yours as well, Grant.
Great. Here we have the STD Disease Intervention Services Amendment 5. And this is continuing our previous work here. Funding amount is $70,123.33. Again, same model here as far as how it works, reimbursed funding from federal government. And this continues through, we may have, let's see, the dates were a little funny on this one. You can see each bullet has a slightly different date, but basically ending either December of this year or January of next year, and within a month difference there. Point being, though, overall, this is helping fund our disease investigation efforts around sexually transmitted diseases, something that we work together as a staff to try to reduce that stigma in terms of the support needed to make sure that these are not spread and that they're treated quickly as well. And this is something that funds our epidemiologist as well as our nursing team when they're called to do this, and as well as doing some overall education about it. Any questions?
We have a motion to approve contract amendment number 5 on this disease intervention service.
I make a motion.
Motion by Sylvia,
A second.
second by Jamie. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
The secret is when they come for a motion, they should bring us food, and then we
Right.
get distracted and we vote yes.
Speaking of food,
Thank you.
yes.
I was so hungry because I haven't eaten since yesterday, since last night.
3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, that it, Grant?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the WIC thing, Grant. Okay,
Commission reports.
who'd like to make a commission report?
Thanks, Elena.
Nobody?
I guess I can. I think that you know, we go around meeting lots of people as we go on our meetings and on training, and we have had many amazing training for, especially for me, where I just everything is so new. But I was just thinking, having the desire to get to meet the people that work for us. And I feel like yesterday we had an opportunity to meet some of our workers, and today another opportunity. and it felt, really good. And even just a simple thing as a dinner. And I'm the kind of person that every day I look for the miracle of the day. And I'll tell you the miracle of the day just today. It wasn't that I had to tie those tablecloth to the table. It wasn't that the weather cooperated. I had an idea that I wanted watermelon for the party. Blondie had no watermelon. I sent my son-in-law to come to to check the Monticello store, no watermelon. And I was just thinking, oh, what a disappointment. And to Commissioner Harvey created the miracle of the day for me. He brought not only watermelon that was delicious. We were just going to slice it. They were all cut perfectly by his wife and daughter probably. And he had honeydew melon and he had cantaloupe. And it was so nice. And that kind of made my day because I thought, like I said, I look for those little miracles of the day. It's what keeps me going. And so I was grateful for the opportunity for all of you guys to be there, because it was nice to have all us there. And I thought, I felt so good to get to know so many other people. So that was probably my favorite thing since I was a commissioner. I mean, I like many of the things we do, but that just get to see them with the family was nice.
Jamie?
Thank you, commissioners. I think I'll keep mine to three reporting points. First one is just kind of sharing my attendance to I think it's the substance abuse conference that was held in St. George this past week. And our staff with the Behavioral Health Services, San Juan Counseling, they were there, and it was good to see them. But the different variety of topics, the ones I've attended were like cannabis and the impact cannabis is on youth, and the studies that pretty much validated neural pathways for youth is being damaged. So when they're rehabilitating from cannabis use and they're trying to work on reasoning and logic, they're working twice as hard just to catch up to a child who doesn't abuse cannabis in their youth. And so that's an important find. I thought that was an interesting topic. Another topic was social media. I came into the session anti-social media, and there's a young gal from BYU who is a professor who did her study, and her interesting study was in regards to whether or not it's a negative for youth. She did validate that, but her unique study was also collecting the youth's comments and their perspective, because no one really does that. It's just always the adult perspective. But the youth basically shared a couple of points about, I wish our adult parents would understand that we have social connections in this system. We're looking for others who are different like we are, and so we strengthen each other. Is one thing they talked about. They also commented, the youth themselves, I wish our parents would trust us more because we know right from wrong. And we just need our parents not to lecture us, but just to help us, support us in making good decisions and how to do that in a social media setting. So that was another thing that was interesting. One profound finding was about substance use and the influence in social media. They do see it in their surfing, but when it's their peers, their own peers that they attend school with or know, who are celebrating the use of alcohol and drug use, it just strikes them and wants them to do it more. But that was a new finding that I thought was interesting. And so it's really just working with our communities and encouraging youth not to abuse and celebrate youth. But the points that were shared in that study was helping our children use social media with purpose, helping them to be honest when they're engaging in social media. And then the other one was when they see and compare themselves with other things they see on social media, it's helping the youth humanize the other person they're comparing themselves against and bringing them back into reality by saying, that other person you're thinking you're idolizing and comparing yourself to is just a normal person. Mm-hmm. And they may be traveling the world and spending all the money, but look carefully because they're alone. There's nobody they're traveling with. Yeah. They don't have family. We have family. We're the family, and finding ways to connect with them like that. And one big surprising finding was for adults using social media in the presence of their children, it was negative because it takes the adults away from being a parent and engaging with their child, which I thought was, So anyhow, really awesome conference. Great to see our counselors and therapists there. And it's very promising. Just the new material that they're presenting now was very amazing. The second point I wanted to make, Community Justice Center, our County Community Justice Center, we're going to have it this coming Friday. It's going to be our very first meeting, so it'll be an interesting development. The exciting thing about that is we have Navajo Nation, a chair for Navajo Nation to be part of that group. I know UNHS is also very happy about being able to be part of that group. And in fact, they submitted some names for that committee that maybe we can work on next meeting. But it's going to be a learning experience for myself. Finally, get to utilize my criminal justice emphasis from the U. So I'm excited to see how it all goes and getting more information about crimes and the statistics that are here in our county. So that's going to be this Friday. And then the last one is just some supported efforts from the state, from the Office of American Indian, Alaska Native Health and Family Services. They want to support the endeavor to have an agreement in place, similar to Utah Highway Patrol in the state of Utah, their mutual assist agreement. and they want to support us in engaging with the Navajo Nation Police Department and sitting down and having a dialogue about how can we support each other. Although there's tribal sovereignty, how can we help each other? Focusing on victims, and I think keeping it narrow. Really, we just want to focus now on DV victims and child abuse victims, and then we can build upon that as we go in depth. But if we try to tackle the entire jurisdictional issue, you know, it's a huge endeavor and it's overwhelming at times. So if we piece it together and look and celebrate the successes as we grow the agreement, I think we'll have a successful agreement a few years down the road, and that's what I'm looking forward to accomplishing. So that's my report, Commissioners. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of things to report. I have AOG meeting coming up next week, and I think our new AOG building is nearing completion. It's supposed to be completed by the end of this month in Price, and it's a beautiful building. It's really come along, and they have a food bank for the Price and the Carbon and Emery County area people, in conjunction with our new AOG building that's up on the hill by the fairgrounds. Then the first of the month, I'll be going to CIB. It's a funding meeting for all of the projects we've received in the second trimester. And we have one project as a county, and that's our request for money to remodel our jail and court system. So Mac will be there, and hopefully that funding will go through and we'll be able
Hopefully
to.
he can convince some of the members, huh?
So that's coming up. And then that's on Thursday, and then on Friday of that first week in October, we have joint highways in Salina, and we'll be touring the salt mine in conjunction with that meeting as well. And so that's kind of the things coming up on my calendar at this point. And I think that's all I've got. Do we need a closed session, Brittany?
We do.
Okay.
So we need a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed.